Welcome. This is CGMA Academy, and today I wanted us to discuss an issue that is no longer a new topic, and it is about AI. And you may be thinking, or you may be asking a question on whether AI will replace you before you qualify as a CA or as a CGMA or as a CPA or as an ACCA or ACCA professional. So that's the purpose of this video, and I have named, will AI replace me before I qualify as a CA or CGMA or CPA or ACCA, whatever accounting qualification or profession or professional designation that I have not included here. But this video is for you. So it's mostly targeting those that are still studying, and maybe they're doing their articles, or maybe they're doing their what do you call exams and stuff like that, following any of these professional designations. Or it could be a students to doing their degree, first year, second year, third year in accounting, and are looking forward obviously to follow and do either CA or via CGMA via CIMA, or ACCA, ACCA via ACCA, and all those kind of things. This will be your video, and we're gonna have an honest opinion and an honest discussion looking at these things. So it is for us to learn, and definitely to show each other whether we have a reason to worry or not. So the first thing before we go into serious discussion, I want you to ask yourself something, or I want to ask you something in short, and I need you to answer it honestly in your head. Now, have you at some point in the last 12 months, for example, opened your phone, sent a headline or saw a headline about AI doing accounting work or auditing work, and felt more like a quiet panic in your heart, a silent, a small, a panic in your heart, and that's the kind of a panic that makes you stare at your CA notes or CA study books or textbooks, or your CIMA notes, or your ACCA course books, course guides, your BVP, your Kaplan, or any other CPA study books, study texts, and whatever, and thought, am I wasting time? Have you ever come across or ever thought in that regard, especially now with the level has moved into, because it's no longer a new thing, but AI has been here for like from 2022, even 2020, but 2022, that's when it becomes to be a topical issue, starting to do some work. You prompt, you query, you ask things, and blah blah blah. But it has now gone a step further. It now does work that you will never imagined. With cloud and other advanced AIs who can do a whole content, a whole report, a whole financial analysis, variance analysis, management accounts, budgeting, projections, and things like that. It can do wonders. It can do things that you would spend days, and then it can do it in one go. It gives you a whole 20 pages of a whole lot of things. All you have to do is to check if everything is really tallying tests and see if everything is really correct. But it does that work. So because of that, that's where I'm coming and say, are you at some point thinking like, what's going to happen in my profession? I'm starting to do this because at the moment, the workplaces have not really stepped up to pace with the developments in the AI. The workplace, of course, they now implement the big fours and whatever. They have one or two levels or issues where you deal with AI, but it is not at the pace the AI is actually advancing. So you may find that majority of our professionals, maybe in small firms, medium firms, that to not even deal with AI maybe in serious form, not in just prompting form, and to find what Ifres Chagat or Ifres blah blah blah, Ifres this is saying, but to really use it, because it can actually do the audits, it can actually do the audit files, or the things that you may want to do. We've got agents, AI agents that can really be triggered, that can be programmed to do the whole audits and create the documents and do the work, worksheets and all those kind of things for a whole audit. So it's an important discussion. So if that thought has ever visited you, then you are not alone. I have had that conversation with candidates across South Africa, across Africa, and beyond. These are hardworking, intelligent people who are genuinely invested in their professional futures, or in their professional future, and they are, some of them, scared. Some of them looking forward to what's going to happen. Some of them thinking of having this other qualification, having that qualification, trying to protect themselves. And what is that going to be? A panic mode, a panic thing for you? And that's the essence. So here's the thing here. If you are thinking this, or even all these people that I'm talking about, I think they deserve a straight answer, not in a motivational sense, in what most people do. Obviously just tell you that no, yourself, continue, follow the program. And we have to be factual, and we have to dig deeper into this, and to give each other strategies and ways that will be helpful in the actual sense, after looking at the actual things on the ground. Not just telling that the profession will be fine and that they should not worry, or you should not worry, just do your studies, blah blah blah. So it should be a real, honest, researched maybe analysis or answer. So that is what we're going to discuss here. So my name is Dumisani Chirisa. I'm a CGMA, I'm a CASA, and a research and consultant. So I'm also the managing director and the lead instructor at CGMA Academy. And also I run Troy Financial Services, or TFS Consultants, which is an accounting, tax and advisory practice firm. And I deal with a lot of clients every day, every single day. So we get to discuss these things. We get to talk about these things, and where the profession is going. So I am not just a commentator watching this profession from the outside. No, I'm talking about things that I'm also experiencing, and I also see. I am in the inside it. I see what is happening on both sides of this conversation, what the businesses are doing on their side that may affect us directly as accountants. The things that they sometimes used to hire us for, they are implementing them in the organization. Maybe they will only hire you to just have a stamp check with your CGMA or CA or whatever and sign, so that it can be just authorized, and for the sake of regulation stuff, they need that. But in terms of requiring you to do the work in the next 5 years or 10, that's what we need to talk about and see whether is there a cause of panic, or is there an actual issue that we should be worried about, or if there is any, how should we tread on it, should tread through it, and we prepare about it. Yes. So I also use AI in my own practice, AI tools, very much. And I also assist a whole lot of CIMA candidates, ACCA candidates, CA candidates. I see what is happening on both sides of this conversation. Exams, our practice, our articles, all need to be revamped and transformed in line with the AI and the things that it is doing. Because students should be able to come out of the industry having used them all, and being able to do their work together with the AI. And that's different now from somebody in a small practice where they've never met AI. They've got templates for your file, for audit file, and they have to do each and every template, complete this, complete that. You've never used the AI to even do that for you, or to help in that instance, and then you come out qualified. You go in the industry. The industry has moved on 5 years later. It has moved on. It is in advance. It is advanced, and you are left behind. So this is the reason why we are going to have to talk about it. So I want to tell you what I genuinely think, backed by most current data and research available as of 2026 current, because AI has improved from 2023. It has improved far much than it was doing in 2024 or even last year, because things are moving faster than most people actually realize. So I think what we need to pay attention more more is that, or rather, I'm going to start with the uncomfortable part, because I think you need to hear it before anything else. If I start with reassurance, you will not believe the reassurance. So we need to look at what is actually happening right now. So just forget about what AI could do in theory, because it used to just regurgitate things. Of course, it still does. But let me tell you what it is doing right now in practice. Today, inside accounting firms, inside finance departments for companies, bank reconciliations, automated, not manually assisted. And as we combine it with other things like blockchains and stuff, becoming super, no mistakes. You connect the bank feed, the AI categorizes every transaction, flags the exceptions, and presents a clean reconciliation with a confidence score on each item. And the amount of error is 0 or less than 1%. What used to take a junior accountant or junior member or staff member half a day now takes AI 40 seconds. Invoice processing, for example, and accounts payable. I'm trying to look at the small issues that can be done in a finance function, or that can be done by a junior accountant or something like that. So invoicing, processing, and accounts payables, receivables, stuff like that. AI can read these invoices, even photographed invoices, slightly blurry invoices from a supplier who still uses a 1994 word template. It can read that, extracts the relevant fields from there, matches it to the purchase order, routes it for approval if within parameters or is allowed, and post the journal entry straight away. The whole accounting process, our accounting team, it can do that end to end without a human touching it, unless if there is an exception that it has flagged as well. So management accounts, PECs, things like that. The basic monthly narrative, the revenue commentary, cost variance explanations and calculations and analysis, working capital movements. AI drafts it from the underlying data. If you give it the data, it can do that way faster and way structured than you as a human being. The finance team reviews and approves. That will be the job. So time saved, money saved, measured in days and not hours. You used to spend days for it. AI does it in a few seconds. In tax, it can do tax return preparation for individuals, even advise tax planning and all those things, kind of things. It can do the same for standard entities. Instead of going for your advice, asking you as a tax practitioner, a tax professional on a restructuring or whatever, the CEO or a company or whatever, or finance director of a company can just do it seriously. Put the feed in cloud or whatever. Do the whole tax planning on it if it gives the actual figures that are at hand. In that, they won't need you now. or they will just need you to just look and agree or something like that. Investment appraisal and things like that. Give it the figures that the management is thinking, can project and do this, and give an actual analysis, NPV, and all those kind of things. It can do properly. So provided the source documents are clean, AI completes the return if it's a tax return, checks for obvious optimization opportunities, and flags anything unusual for human review. So many of the smaller tax returns that used to generate billing for accounting firms where you charge your clients and are now generated in minutes by AI. So if your clients maybe are not going to be much faster in AI as well, then you'll be safe because you could actually be able to do your work much faster and still charge the same and blah blah blah. Audit sampling and anomaly detection. AI can scan every single transaction, whatever populations you're going to select, or in a sample, or in an entire population, and flag anomalies, duplicates, related patterns, related party patterns, all those kind of things, and give you outliers. This is what junior auditors would spend weeks on during field work, vouching and blah 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 and blah blah. AI can do before breakfast. So I'm not speculating about the future. I am describing what the tools I use or I see in my own practice or in other companies that I deal with or consult with, and the tools that the firms I know are using can actually do right now. So what does statistics even do? If I go back a bit, the Water Coolers 2025 AI report, if you want to look for it, it actually says Water Coolers Future Ready Accountants Report. That was the 2025 one. Says AI adoption in accounting firms jumped from 9% to 41% in a single year in 2025. Thomson Reuters Institute, also in 2025, covering parts of 2025 and 2026, so says 44% of tax and accounting firms now use generative AI daily or multiple times per day. So these are companies that are usually in the Western Hemisphere, Europe, US, and those countries alike. Now, AI, CPA, and CIMA Future Ready Finance Survey, which surveyed about 1,446 global respondents. They also said 80% of senior finance leaders, all of them were saying, 88% of them were actually saying AI will be the most transformative technology trend over the next 12 months to 5 years. Yet only 8% feel their organizations are very prepared for this. Now, the last statistic is worth sitting with for a moment, the one for the ACCA. 88% believe it is coming hard and fast. AI. And only 8 feel ready. That gap between expectation and preparation, that is where the real risk and the real opportunity for us accountants both live. Now, the World Economic Forum in 2025 Future of Jobs report also named accounting and bookkeeping clerks as the 7th fastest declining job category in the world over the next 5 years. Accounting and bookkeeping clerks, number 7 fastest declining job category in the world over the next 5 years. That headline went everywhere, especially in the West and in Europe and whatever, and it caused a lot of people studying for their professional qualifications to have a very bad week during that time when it was released. I remember also seeing it on X, Twitter, and all those kind of things, social media, and groups that I am also in, people discussing about this. Because AI can be a bubble, like people say, but it is here and it is actually transforming things. So all these things, they are very important. All these things that I've quoted and discussed, these statistics are very important, but there's also something that they did not mention. So the US Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US, because things are going to have a trickle-down effect. From the US, it's going to come bit by bit, we'll be implementing. So the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, which tracks employment data more rigorously than almost any other country, projects employment for qualified accountants and auditors to grow. So despite all this, despite the AI, despite some bookkeeping and jobs and whatever, click jobs and whatever going down or getting to a point of being eradicated over the next 5 years or so, still the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is very big and very precise in tracking this data, actually is saying the employment of qualified accountants and auditors are to grow by 5% between 2024 and 2034. So over the next 10 years, they're projecting a growth in the employment and companies sorting after accountants, qualified accountants and auditors. So that is more than 70,000 net new positions, plus over 124,000 annual openings from retirements and career transitions. Because we know that in the profession, some will be retiring, some will be transitioning, some will be coming new, and things like that. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing, which is the reason of this discussion, so that we are going to either deal with the fear mongering, but still look at the real thing as it is here, and still propose the ways we can maneuver it. Was it's proposing to grow. Now, what can you do in the era of AI as a professional accountant or as somebody who is studying towards it, to make sure that you are the one who will be employed and you are the one who will be part of the 5% growth that is projected over the next 10 years? Are you just going to be the ordinary accountant who have not done with AI or doesn't know AI skills and all those kind? I don't think so. You're going to be qualified. You need to have the AI skills that are happening that moment. And since it's a new thing, it will be rapidly growing. You need to be rapidly upskilling as well in AI, period. Up until the bubble comes to burst or to burst. As for now, you have to keep up to date with what AI is doing. Now, that's the Bureau. That's the Bureau of US Bureau of this 5% growth, but at the same time, bookkeeping and accounting and audit clerks, they're being projected a decline of 6% actually, if I put to actual figure. So there are some roles in accounting that will be wiped or they will be declining 6% over the year. But at the same time, the demand for qualified accountants will grow by 5% over the next 10 years. So which accountants are going to be sought after? If the bookkeepers and clerks, whatever, are going to be wiped out or reducing, it means AI is going to obviously eradicate some jobs, some positions, but also because of it, there are going to be new positions that comes with the AI. So there are two entirely different, these two that I'm talking about, qualified accountants and clerks and whatever, these are two entirely different job categories with two entirely different futures, according to this. The other one, growing. Clerks, whatever, down. And most of the terrifying headlines you are reading are conflating them, usually these two. So they're saying accountants are not going to be, it's going to be wiped, it's going to be that, it's going to be not in demand. They are looking at what the media will talk about. Clerks, general accounting staff, invoicing, processing, those things are going to go. AI will do that, even 100% accurate. So because of that, people will focus on the negative. Jobs are going to be wiped by AI. In accounting, no need for accounting, and that's what goes in the world, as if accounting as a profession is gonna die or things like that. But if you not upskill and if you not grow with it, surely you will die with it as well. But as an accountant or as a profession, as a person who is following this profession, doing articles and stuff, if you are upskilling, using it, making your life easier with it, knowing it, you need to be able to interrogate it, be able to identify errors from it. You have plenty of demand and you can grow also with the profession. So the category that is actually declining is clerical work, transaction processing, data entry, those kind of errors. Or even in the skilled professional ones, there are things that you would spend much of your time doing, vouching and stuff. You could put it in your AI to do for you. But the work you still need to do, you need to collaborate, you still need to do the audit. Computer auditing has always been there. Now it's gonna be revamped, and it's gonna be revamped and made faster because of AI. But you still be needed. Somebody has to be answerable to the AI and stuff like that. At least at the current current pace. So there's a category that is going down, clerical work. Then there's a category that is growing, professional accounting. Usually professional accountants that are using judgments, strategic advisory, risk management, financial leadership, and all those kind of things. That's where most accountants would transition to. So your CA, via CA, SA, or whatever in Europe, whatever, so long you're a CA, your CGMA designation, your ACCA designation, your CPA designation, they are not training you to be in the first category at the moment. Of course, not all, because some are training, because of the companies that they will be training with may be already advanced in terms of implementing AI, so you'll be exposed. Your big four people, especially in Europe and stuff, will be much more exposed to AI. They'll be very, very competent in this. But majority of people, especially in South Africa, blacks and stuff, they will do much of their articles in a company that they've never used the AI. That they've got templates, word templates, and whatever, in Excel templates and stuff that they're still using up to this day. Templates for audit files and stuff. And you just need to fill in with what you're finding. We know, we've been in the articles as well. So that's the problem. Robert Half's, who is an finance employment company, whatever, says 61% of finance and accounting hiring managers were saying it is harder to find skilled professionals today than it was 1 year ago, according to them. Why is it hard? Because companies are now starting to look at those that can interrogate the AI, find the hallucinations in an AI, deal with the AI. Work with it, be productive even 100% faster with the AI than the ones that have the qualification, they have the designation, but can't do the work at the pace that is required using AI, working with the AI. Not because there are no CAs, there are no CGMAs, they are there, but it's now becoming 61% difficult for them to fill jobs because of that. Because there's a set of those CAs that they are now looking for. That's how the profession proves the profession operates. The profession is not shrinking. The lower end of it is being automated. The invoicing, part of it, the reconciliation, they are being automated. The professional end is growing, and the talent pipeline to fill it is getting tighter. That's what is happening. That's the context, and that context matters. Now, the conversation that everyone is having, but not saying it out loud. That is something that I want to talk about as well. That something that nobody in the profession or in the professional accounting education, especially in Africa or in South Africa to be specific, is really explicitly honest about it. So I will look at it and I will be the one to say it. So right now in 2026, qualified accountants and finance professionals are using AI tools to do work that used to take significant time and expertise, especially if you are lucky to be using them or in an organization that is seriously investing in using them. Some are not, and they are not using it at all. So they are using it not to assist really with that work, to actually do the work. Some of the work that we would actually spend our hours doing, the AI can do it totally and much better than you. And the tool that has changed the game most drastically in the last 18 months is not a specialized accounting platform. Actually, it is cloud. It came with something at the moment that is superior. Even those AIs that were systematically focusing on the accounting, they were also left lagging there. I use cloud in my own practice quite often as well. I have seen what it can do, and I want to be specific with you because I think you deserve the specifics. So what practitioners are actually using AI for right? I mean, or for what is right right now. So let's look at the real world. So a client sends me a set of messy bank statements. I'm just giving you a scenario that sometimes happens, especially with smaller entities. A client sends you a set of messy bank statements, a shoebox worth of invoices, piles and piles. Some have got food on them. These things are still happening. Some are no longer clear enough and things like that. And even WhatsApp messages saying they need their year financials for the bank by Friday because they want to get a loan or they want to apply for one, all those kind of things. They just bring files. Those people are still doing that, files and stuff like that. So in 2022, if you would get such, that was a multi-day engagement. You would have work, juniors would have work to do. But in 2026, you'd use cloud to structure the categorization logic, extract and organize that data, draft the management accounts narrative of this data, check it against the accounting standards, and produce a first draft of the financial statements. It can actually do that. I have personally tested it. And you could do that all before lunch. And if you are good with working with agents, the other one will be doing this, the other one will be doing that. By 2 hours, you'd have a whole idea and a draft financial statements. So now, my time is no longer now doing the work that I would do in 2022. It will be now time spent into reviewing to see if this is correct. I mean, testing and everything and checking, because adjusting for context specific issues so that it aligns with exactly what's happening here. Because the AI cannot do that at the moment, or do the reasoning, or do the aligning and whatever. And now, after that, you will be the one now to do the actual professional conversations with the client, giving the advice on accounting, advice on all those things, basing on what has been done already. But the mechanical work is gone. This is an example. And it's not a hypothetical, your English. So that is a real description of how practice is changing. And I am not the only one saying it. It's something that I always discuss with others. Now, what about auditing? Audit juniors at some of the large firms, I've quoted some, are using cloud to draft audit conclusions, even do work papers, write up those working papers, and prepare management letter points from raw audit evidence. The junior's job is shifting from doing the writing to critically reviewing what the AI has written, more like a review, which means the junior needs to know enough to catch the errors, to see the hallucinations of the AI. And cloud makes errors, a lot of them still. Sometimes confidently wrong ones. It can confidently tell you a wrong conclusion. Just like another AI. If you ask this, it gives you an answer. If you say no, you are wrong, it says yes, you're correct. I was wrong, and it gives you another. Cloud does that. Especially if you don't give it the actual data. You need to give data that has been pruned by you, looked at it, and you know that this is the kind of data that if you feed it, it will give me. Others, if you just give it it will just take all those figures and create something. That's the AI, it hallucinates. So you need to be able to interrogate, look at. You still need to know and to use your understanding, your technical understanding, and all those kind of things, and then feed into it, and then it does the work. But you need to know the work. You need to know what goes in. You cannot just have anyone who doesn't know finance, accounting, whatever, to do the work with the AI. So that's where the importance of the accountants and those who knows about it will come in, and that's why those jobs will not go. They will grow by 5% as projected by US. In the US, this is the country where the AI is from. The AIs are from. So if they are going to grow in US, then definitely we are latecomers. We catch up late in Africa. We're the last. You should be protected. You just need to be at the game where the AI is also playing it. So, but that is the starting point, because the cloud can still do the work. It is no longer a blank page. So even if it can make errors, at least the work has been done and you can start from there to prune it. It's no longer like right from the start. What about in a bit of management? A finance manager at a listed company may use cloud or another AI for that matter that can do the work to interrogate maybe a 200-page integrated report. Extract all the forward-looking statements, cross-reference them against the prior year commitments. For example, I'm giving an example of what we can use it. And they can use it to produce a gap analysis for the board. What used to be a strategic project for a team of 2 analysts to analyze these financials, these reports, and come up with a detailed, narrowed down report for the board, doing it for the finance manager, it now takes cloud just 4 minutes to produce a full report. It now takes a morning works for one person. Doing it in the in the cloud gives you in 3 minutes or in 10 minutes. You start looking at the report correspondence, see if it's correct. 2 hours you'll be done before breakfast. But the finance manager would have to have 2 analysts, 2 helpers in the to do that work. Now they may not need any of those analysts. So I want to be clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. So I'm not saying the qualified professionals doing these things are being replaced. I'm not saying that. I am saying their productivity has multiplied. Depending with the company they are working for, the consequences could be positive or even negative as well. And the nature of what they are expected to do has shifted. And as accountants, we need to also move with that same direction. Upskill ourselves according to the shift. The mechanical layer of accounting work has been automated or is being automated by AI, by agents. But the judgment layer, the decision, the thinking, the technical understanding that needs to go with that report or with that analysis or with that projection has become the actual job for accountants. So why am I talking much about cloud and why it specifically matters to this conversation, especially at this moment? I know that AI is always changing. One is performing far much better at the moment, and then in 3 months there will be another one that will be doing so much because it's still that phase where it's moving very fast. So why am I talking about cloud much more specifically rather than just AI in general? Because in 2026 there is a meaningful difference between AI tools. In most cases, there is the best AI tool for every other thing. So you would have to know that if I want to do reports and documents and stuff, cloud is my thing. If I want to do quick analysis and understanding of what's happening in a report, maybe ChatGPT is my thing. If I want to do this, maybe to do pivots and stuff like that in my Excel, cloud is still the thing nowadays. It can do that while you're watching. So there will be a best AI for everything. But at the moment, cloud can do almost whatever the AI is doing, except these short prompts and queries that you may need, which ChatGPT can do very well. And Gemini and blah, blah, blah. So in 2026, there has been a meaningful difference between AI tools. And professionals who understand that difference are making better decisions because they know, like I'm saying, I will know that if I want to do this document management report and stuff, I feed this in AI in this cloud, and then it generates this. I look at this cloud will do the best in this regard. If I want to code something, financial statements on our website, I may use Codex for that, blah blah blah, blah, or I can still use a cloud for that. For detail financial statements and integrated reports, cloud can still do that very well. Or notebook AI can do that very well. So if you know this for the next, this one for that, this one for that, now we will even have dashboards and stuff that are AI integrated. So you may see the statistics if you're a business of what you did that day. By the end of the day, you have everything and reports and visualizations and stuff on your dashboard because of AI. So ChatGPT, for example, became famous first. It was the tool everyone heard about in around 2022 and 2023. It is still useful. Like I was saying, I'm saying Codex can do one or two things. But in a professional accounting and finance context, at the moment, cloud has moved ahead in several important ways that directly affect what practitioners can rely on it for. That's why in this video I've been talking much about it, because cloud handles long, complex documents, structures it very well. If you give it 150-page IFRS standards on or maybe a detailed tax legislation document or a complete set of group financial statements and ask it to reason across the whole thing, it holds the context together more reliably, bringing everything together. For financial reporting and audit work, this is not a minor difference in accounting. It is the difference between a tool you can actually use on professional material and one you cannot. I mean, you can take directly what it does. It can do a whole document with the logos, with everything for your company and give it to you. You don't have to have this person, IT and whatever, putting pictures together and your company logo, whatever names and pictures. No, you don't have to. It can do that. It can do a whole integrated report of financial statements if you give it the documents. So that's important. Now, cloud is also meaningfully better at structured reasoning on numbers and financial relationships. When you ask it to work through a complex consolidation adjustment or a deferred tax calculation with multiple temporal differences and stuff like that, or transfer pricing analysis, the quality and reliability of the reasoning is much higher as compared to other AIs, at least in my view. It is not perfect, it still needs you to check, and sometimes it hallucinates. That's where you come in as a professional. Because I want to be careful about that. I don't want to say, it does everything very, very well. But measurably better for professional work. Much more better than you would expect. Now, your work would be just to go through and see, no, this is not it. And then you can deal with that. You can still give it to say, no, here, you need to do this and that and that and that and that. And it will pick again and it will do that exactly. So you're not going to be doing it again manually. You're still going to feed it to it and you have it. And cloud tends to be more honest about its own uncertainty as well than the other ones, which will say, oh, sorry, yes, I was hallucinating, and then it gives you something else. Cloud tends to debate with you, to say, no, I think I'm correct, blah, 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 blah. Up until you give it information and no, yeah, and then it can do. So when it does not know something, or when a question is genuinely ambiguous, it is more likely to say so rather than generating a confident sounding wrong answer than that the other generative AIs do. In a professional context, where a confident wrong answer can cause real damage, because you're going to advise clients using serious wrong answer that has been presented confidently. So that intellectual honesty by cloud is a very big thing, actually. It is very important. So this is not to advertise cloud. I'm just trying to use it to highlight some of the things, using an example of an AI that is already there, or that I have also used amongst many others. We've got many others that are there. Many others, which I've also used. And combined with some counting tools, like your zero, like whatever, it does wonders for you. So it's not advertisement. It is telling you this because understanding which tools are fit for which professional purposes is itself a professional skill that companies like Roberts Half are actually looking for. So and your competitors who understand this are already using it. That's why it may be difficult to compete sometimes with those who are in Europe and stuff. It's not true that all of them are also lagging behind and stuff, because humans are similar anyway, but I'm highlighting the most important issues. So what this means if you are still studying, what does this even mean when you are studying? Like, that's the real question. That's the real intention for this video. So we have seen that no, it's not like our profession is growing. It actually is growing in instances, but there are some things or some positions that are in our profession that will go, or that are going. So the honest question that flows from all this, how can I put it? If AI can already do so much of the work, why are you still spending years and significant money qualifying as a CA or a CGMA or an ACCA? And I'm one of them, for that matter. So that's the question, to say, should I continue in this in spite of this? And I've thought about this a lot. And my answer is this. precisely because AI can do all of that work. The profession now needs people who are qualified to oversee it and to work with it, to interpret it, to take responsibility, to take a responsibility for it. Because the AI the work that you have feed into it and it produces is your work. You should be the one to be held responsible for the work that you are doing. You are the one who is to sign on it and things like that. So you take responsibility for it and identify where it has gone wrong. That's it. So the answer is yes, you need to follow your qualification. But in doing that, also make sure that by upskilling, or you also demand that you have that experience in your training. So the AI that drafts your audit working paper does not know whether the client has a pending lawsuit, which changes the going concern assessment, for example. If that is huge, it doesn't know. You are the one who know. You know that I need to put going concern disclaimer here, or I need to report all this whole accounting or this financial reporting under going concern frameworks. So AI won't know that. So you are going to be very important, because you know it, and you know now what procedures to do, and you know what to feed into it if you want to be faster, and so that you can do it the correct way. That's why US is saying those jobs will actually grow, not go down. But there are some positions that are automated and they were junior positions and they will go. Doesn't mean that the profession is going. So go for it, continue, do your work, qualify as that CA, qualify as that CGMA, qualify as that ACCA or CPA. But ensure that you also upskilling yourself with the AIs of this world at this moment, because that's the truth about the profession. It's not the profession only. Look at music and arts. Look at software developers. This thing can do your whole website in 30 seconds, in 30 minutes. Even in engineering or elsewhere, there will be some level of impact. Does that mean that all these people are going to go? No, not at all. So I was saying the AI that drafts your audit working papers does not know whether the client has a pending lawsuit and that changes the going concern assessment that you will do. You are the one who will know. The AI that produces your management accounts, reports or narratives does not know that the revenue spike in October was a once-off related party transaction that should be disclosed. It doesn't. It's just going to report and give you you're going to be the one who have to end up review and put that. The AI that suggests the deferred tax treatment does not know about the SARS ruling that was issued last quarter that changes the interpretation. Unless if you give it to it again and say, yeah, this is something that has happened, and then it will incorporate. So you know, or you will know once you are qualified and experienced. That is your age. That is what the qualification is building, not the ability to process data. Of course, you should know everything that is happening, the workflow, everything, the flow of things, the ability to bring context, judgment, and professional responsibility to data that has already been processed. Now, so I recently had, for example, an experience where cloud generated draft of a set of financial statements that was technically well structured and IFRS compliant on its face. If you look at it, you'll be like, that's it. But the AI had classified particular leases incorrectly because the lease agreement had a non-standard clause that changed the economic substance of the transaction. A non-qualified person reviewing that draft would likely have missed it. They will say, this is the best. If a company was doing that on their own, they would say, we done. But a qualified professional who understands the substance of a form principle would catch it, would see it in about 3 minutes. That is what a CA or a CGMA or a ACCA or a CPA or a qualified professional is for. To check everything, to make sure that everything is according to standards, and to rubber stamp and to say, no, this is correct, and sign on this in this financial thing. So the AI saves you from spending 3 hours building the document from scratch and spent on reviewing and seeing that everything is done, is correctly done. The qualification saves the client now from materially misstated set of financial statements and their impact throughout stakeholders, throughout banks, because they will use these financial statements for various other things, to get loans, to pitch for finances, to report to stakeholders. So many things that you will not think of. So you are there now to rubber stamp to say these are correct. So you will be able to review that. Now, here are the things, or 6 things in general, that AI fundamentally cannot. And that's where your importance is on as an accountant. So I need now to be very specific about those things, including the best AI tools available as of 2026 that they cannot do, fundamentally failing, or maybe they cannot yet do. Maybe that's the best thing at the moment. So at least in the way a qualified professional can do this thing. So 1, professional judgment under genuine ambiguity. So here's the thing about professional accounting. It is not just technical knowledge. It is the ability to take incomplete, conflicting, or ambiguous information and make a defensible, reasonable decision about what the financial reality actually is. AI would just take whatever and give you a response. You have to know this one affects that, and that affects that, and that affects that, because you have been trained to do that. So AI is very good at situations where the answer is findable in the training data that it was trained with. It is not good at genuinely novel situations where the answer has to be constructed from first principles, adapted to specific facts or to scenarios that are happening in that moment, facts that have not been seen before, for example, and balanced against competing professional obligations. It will not be good at that. When a client asks you whether they should recognize a particular revenue item this year or next year, the answer is almost never a clean lookup of IFRS 15, because in general AI can still look up and still propose something, but it would have to be a detailed analytical technical understanding of the things that is happening and what is on the ground, and advise appropriately. AI will not visit a client's factory or a client thing and stuff. You would visit. It involves undermining or understanding the contract terms. Yes, you can feed all these things in an AI. It needs to understand the client's business model. Some by on paper, on the business documents, but some by you going there, talking to the management, dealing with them, seeing on the ground, chatting with that and that and that and that, and getting the pattern of performance, the materiality, and sometimes the client incentives, and whether those incentives are creating pressure that should be resisted. All those things you will see on the ground as an auditor, as an accountant, or whatever. That's the full picture. AI cannot at this moment reliably hold all of that and reason correctly across it. But you can still use AI and still use all this information, understanding and stuff, and know that no, this conclusion cannot be the correct conclusion that this AI has given me. 2, legal and regulatory accountability. This one is not going away ever, no matter how this AI changes, unless if the whole world is going to change the laws. So when financial, a human professional signed them. When a tax return is submitted to SARS, a registered tax practitioner takes professional and legal responsibility for its contents. When an audit opinion is issued, a registered auditor puts their ACCA registration on the line to say, I am the responsible person to be conducted if there are any issues here. AI cannot be registered, at least at the moment. AI cannot be disciplined, cannot be put into a court of law or at Matlanga Commission. AI cannot be sued, cannot have its license revoked because you inputted your data there and got the wrong things. The regulatory framework that governs the accounting profession, like SAICA, SAIPA, CIMA, ACCA, SAIPA, and any other in your countries, is built around the accountability of women professionals. The framework is not going to be redesigned to allow an AI to be a responsible party. In other words, who will be paying? The company. But you are the one who prompted into the AI. So you'll be responsible. So which means a qualified human professional is always going to be required in the chain of the accountability. So your CA, your CPA, your CGMA, your ACCA, they are at their core licenses to be accountable. They are licensed to accountability. That's why you are supposed to be recognized. You have to have paid your membership. You are recognized by the board, and then you're allowed to sign or to represent or whatever. So those designations say that this person has been trained. They have been tested. This person is professionally bound to standards. That's what those designations mean to the government, to the regulatory bodies, to those people who are seeking your services. And even in the case of situations where you need to go to courts, to law, that's what those decisions mean. That when we hold you accountable, we know that you were trained. You knew what you were doing. AI is not going to stand there and answer. So no AI can give a regulator, a bank, or an investor that assurance. Because those designations say this person has been trained, has been tested, and is professionally bound to standards. That's what they mean. Now, number 3, ethical reasoning in real situations. AI will not know the actual ethical issues. You are going to be the one talking to management, talking to clients, talking to maybe attending boards, maybe going on the ground, seeing what's happening, and you can see ethical issues right with your eyes. So the ethics training in every professional accounting qualification is not a box ticking exercise. No, it is there because the accounting profession operates in conditions where there is always someone with an interest in the numbers being different from what they are actually are. Somebody who wants to play with the numbers and misrepresent things. There's always that guy. So there will come a day in your career, and if you have been in practice for any time or some time, you will know I'm not exaggerating this. When a client or a CFO or a partner above you applies pressure to make a financial statement look a certain way, to classify something one way rather than the other or rather than another, So to disclose less rather than more, there's always those kind of things or those kind of requests. They can happen. And that's where your professional ethics are tested. Somebody asks you to use an aggressive accounting estimate rather than a prudent one because they want to have a positive outlook on something. The bank will refuse a loan or something like that. So AI does not feel that pressure. You will be responsible. You will be responsible to answer when shit hits the fan. So AI does not feel that pressure. AI does not know that the person asking the questions has a bonus tied to the revenue number. AI does not smell a conflict of interest walking through the door. AI does not have the professional training to say, with the full weight of a professional designation behind it, I cannot sign off on this. It doesn't. You are the one who decides to say, no, sorry, I'm not signing on that. So that is a human function. It is a moral and professional function. And it will remain one for the longest of time. Now, what about number 4? Client trust and relationships. Now, on this one, think about the accounting and finance professionals who have had the biggest impact in their fields, not the ones who were fastest at processing. The ones who built reputations, who clients called when things went wrong and they answered, who boards trusted with information they would not share with anyone else. Now, that trust is built through consistency, character, and presence over time. It is built through being the person who told a client a difficult truth and was right. Now, through being available at 10 o'clock in the night when SARS audit notice arrived or your tax authority audit notice arrived. Through understanding a client's business so well that you can anticipate their problems before they ask. So nobody trusts an AI the way they trust a person, because an AI will not take responsibility. If a business, for example, does its tax returns with AI, and when they submit, they get flagged for audit by the tax authority, it won't be the AI that will be responsible to answer. It will be the business and its management that will be responsible to answer, and if charged huge penalties, they'll be the one responsible to pay. But with a tax professional, on the other hand, there will be somebody, they would also say, you did, what was the issue? And debate, you can see whether it was a real error or it was the negligence of the professional. So there is somebody to first of all lay the blame to, who is responsible, and then later decide whether they want to chip in also. But they can actually alter that cost altogether to someone else who was responsible. So no one trusts an AI the way they trust a person they have built a professional relationship with over the years. So the relational dimension of advisory work is entirely human or through interaction. So that does not change because the tools have changed or because there is AI. Now, number 5, strategic finance leadership. So for those, for example, who are pursuing, let's say, the CGMA designation, CIMA. So the management accounting qualification, that one is explicitly built around this point. Strategic finance leadership, for example, but it's everywhere in other professions, in other qualifications. Management accounting is the bridge between financial data and strategic decision making. It is the discipline that makes the numbers mean something to the people running the business. Now, AI can produce a financial model. It can. But it cannot sit in a strategic planning session and challenge a business unit head's assumptions with the authority of someone who has read the numbers, knows the industry, and understands the competitive dynamics. AI can generate a cash flow forecast, at least at the moment, it can generate a good one. But it cannot look at a founder in the eyes and say, this business model is burning cash faster than the revenue projections justify, for example. And here is what that means for your 18-month runway. For example, it cannot do that. That is leadership. And for those who are doing CIMA, that's what CGMA competence framework trains you for. That is not an automation roadmap. You still need to know what's happening. You still need to know the things that you are going to advise management on. So that's very important there. And by statistics, the AI, CPA, and CIMA Future Ready Finance Survey that they conducted in December 2025, it says 46% of finance leaders actually identify generative AI as the single biggest skills gap in their teams, because they'll be looking at productivity. So not because AI is replacing them, but because their teams do not yet know how to direct, oversee, and add value on top of it, on top of the AI, or using the AI. Now, number 6, which is the contextual local intelligence. Now, I think this one matters particularly in the South African context or in African context, and in every developing economy context. So the AI tools being built and trained are predominantly trained on data from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from Western Europe, from China, the countries that are leading the AI stuff. They know GAP deeply. Yes, they also know IFRS very well. They know UK tax reasonably well. Of course, it's generative. You can input SARS and tax act, IFRS and stuff like that, and it can do reasonably well still. They know South African tax law to a point, but they do not know SARS current audit focus areas, for example, or the context in which SARS may be operating on, things like that. It may not synthesize all that kind of data. They do not know how load shedding may be affecting asset impairment assessments for a specific client in a specific sector. You would have to ask those questions. Say, okay, you are in this sector, you've got all this equipment and machinery. How was AI impacting you? And you hear from them, they say, so it means maybe there's some serious impairment coming from this. AI will only do the work when you tell it now, after your understanding. You say, this company has been impacted by load shedding in this and this, and there should be some impairment issues here, and maybe it can take it further, but it won't suggest that for you in the first instance. It will not. So yeah, they do not know how load shedding affects your asset impairment. They do not know the political and regulatory dynamics in a specific municipality that are affecting a particular infrastructure project, for example. It will not know the context in which some things would have happened. Now, local contextual current knowledge is human knowledge. You're going to be the one knowing it. It is built through experience on the ground and facts that are on the ground. No model trained on historical or global data can replicate the judgment of a qualified South African accountant in situations that are purely South African, for example, who has been doing this work or the work for 5 years in Johannesburg or in Durban or in a municipality or whatever, and knows exactly what's happening there. They'll be the one to know what needs to come out as the right thing, and they can direct the AI to help them bring out that. So there, humans will always be important for that matter. Now, the question you should actually be asking is what? So the question people keep asking is, will AI replace accountants, like we said? And I think that is the wrong question, because that's what most people I've been talking to, or people asking something like that. It is the wrong question because it frames you as passive, as something that either gets replaced or does not. It removes your agents from the equation. The right question is, given what AI can do now or can now do, what does an excellent professional accountant look like in 2026 and beyond? And then, am I becoming that person? That should be the question that accountants should be asking themselves. What is expected for in a professional accountant in 2026 and beyond? And with the skills that I'm getting now, am I that person? That's the question. Because here is what I have observed. The professionals who are thriving right now, and not just surviving, but genuinely thriving, are not the ones who are ignoring AI. And they are also not the ones who are very much using AI to do everything thoughtlessly. No. They are the ones who understands the tools deeply enough to know exactly what to delegate to the AI and what to hold back for themselves. Now, for example, I know a senior auditor at a mid-tier South African firm. And when the firm first started integrating AI into audit methodology in 2025, for example, her first instinct was resistance. She has been doing audit the same way for 8 years and she was good at it. By mid-2026, she had shifted. She now uses AI to handle the entire population analytics work that used to consume the majority of her team's field work and time. And what she does with that time that is spent, that is now spent on something else, which is the judgment areas. Use the AI to do this work, and then you can judge whether it did correctly. Now, she'll focus on going concern, significant estimates, related party transactions, those areas that usually needs you to deal with significant technical issues, leases and stuff like that. This is where her experience and professional judgment actually add value as a CA or as an auditor. Her clients get a better audit now. The firm bills more advisory work, which is usually even higher in terms of charges or charging. So more money actually, but less work. And she has never been more professionally fulfilled because she is doing the interesting part of the job all the time instead of 15% of the time that she used to do. Or she would spend most of her time number crunching and doing all this paperwork and stuff like that. That is the model, not AI instead of you. AI beneath you, doing the mechanical layer, so you can operate at the judgment layer, decision-making layer, strategic layer, full time. So I want to be honest about that. Now, there's also the danger here that is also real, and I want to talk about that danger because there is actually a danger, and the professionals who are genuinely at risk are not the qualified ones who embrace AI. They are those the ones who do either two of these things. Ignore AI completely and continue doing work that AI can do faster and cheaper, making them uncompetitive or incompetitive. I'm not sure which correct word there. And who add everything to AI uncritically, or in other words, gives everything to AI without critically analyzing what AI gives you, and end up losing the technical depth that makes their review and judgment valuable in the first place. Now, both of those failure modes are real. Both are happening at the moment, and both are avoidable also. The path through the middle, use AI heavily for the mechanical work, stay deeply technically capable so you can review its work and judge its reliability. I mean, if the work is reliable, and keep building your domain expertise and your relationships. That path is wide open and you can move into that path. And it leads to a better career that the AI cannot take away. And that is better than the old model, where you work at the top, advising, negotiating, and checking everything on a review side. Now, what can you actually do now as an accountant or as somebody who is looking into this? So yeah, it is practice time now. 7 things that I've given you. 1, finish your qualification. Seriously. And I have to say it plainly because some of you are wavering and thinking about, is it going to be useful and stuff? And if you have got any kind of thinking that way or any thinking that is that way, then backward up, work that qualification. Do not quit, do not slow down, do not let the anxiety about AI or whatever stories become an excuse to disengage from your studies. The technical depth you are building right now is the foundation of everything else. Like we're talking about judgment, analyzing, reviewing. That's the technical depth that you are building now. You cannot effectively review an AI-generated deferred tax calculation if you don't know it or if you do not understand deferred tax. You cannot catch an AI hallucination about IFRS 9 financial instrument classification if you have never actually studied IFRS 9. The qualification is not the ceiling. It is the floor that everything else is built on. It is the starting point. So finish it and finish it well. The letters behind your name still open your doors. They will still signal the market that you are professionally accountable and responsible. Not AI or no AI has those letters or we have those letters. So move. Something that you have to do. Number 2, get your hands on AI or AI tools that are important for your industry. For example, you can get hands on your cloud and other AIs and learn it properly for the benefit of what you are doing. So I have to be specific. Let's say if I'm taking a cloud as an example, you go to cloud, get the paid subscription if you can afford it, or another cloud that you feel like is best, and start using it for your study and for your work and for testing it deliberately. Ask it to explain IFRS standards you are studying and see that it's doing the right thing or is doing the correct thing. As it, ask it to generate practice scenarios. Ask it to take a set of financial statements you have worked on and tell you what questions an auditor would ask, for example. Ask it to check your working or your workings on a complex consolidation. Ask it to draft a client letter and then critique its own draft. For example, if you are still studying, whatever you are studying, you just make use of it as well. But also do this deliberately. Push it into territory where it makes mistakes and see it making mistakes. Be able to see that, it usually hallucinates on these areas. Ask it to apply a tax provision in a way that you know is wrong and see if it picks it up. Ask it about a recent SaaS development and see whether its knowledge is current. Learn where it breaks down, because the moment you know where AI is unreliable is the moment you become valuable as the human who catches the unreliability. Number 3, learn things like Power BI or related things this year and not eventually. Microsoft Power BI, for example, or even cloud, because cloud can do that now by prompting, not by having to do pivots and stuff. Cloud can do the pivots for you now. So I would say still learn cloud on how to use it in Excel. But I want to talk about Power BI, which is rapidly becoming an expectation for finance professionals. So if you can build a financial dashboard that a CFO can actually use, interactive, drill down, connected to live data, you are delivering something that used to require a specialist before. And you can learn the fundamentals of it for free on Microsoft Learn or whatever. Now, combine Power BI with Excel, AI features, Copilot, and things like that to integrate those features into Excel. Or nowadays, you can just do on cloud, like I said, because it can prompt everything. So long as you can give it the information, it can do it for you. Number 4, build your advisory voice, or build your thinking voice at advisory level. Strategic voice. Advisory skill is the ability to look at financial information and tell someone that what it means for their decisions. Not just what the numbers say, what they should do about those numbers. So you build this deliberately over time. So when you are in a meeting and financials have been presented, ask what the numbers imply for next quarter strategy. Volunteer to write the commentary on the management pack rather than just producing the numbers. Offer to do the financial analysis behind a business case. Read the investor relations material of JSE listed companies, not the financial statements, the narratives behind those financial statements. See how experienced the finance leaders translate numbers into decisions. Advisory is where the fees are and where the charges you get are. Advisory is what AI has made more, not less. And it has made you to move to that direction. Available for professionals to do. But you have to practice it while there is time. Practice it whilst you are doing your articles. Now, develop domain expertise. That's number 5. Because AI is a generalist. It knows a lot about everything and deeply about very little. So it knows general stuff. But if you go deeper, it starts to hallucinate in most cases. You have the opportunity to become the person who knows one specific area better than any AI tool can approximate at the moment. It may know the theory behind it, but practical, put it into place and produce financials through it, it may struggle, and you will be the one to know about that. So maybe that is mining royalties and resource sector taxation or things like that. Maybe it is transfer pricing for intra-Africa transactions. Maybe it is public sector financial management under the PFMA and MFMA X. Maybe it is forensic accounting. What is on the ground? AI will not help you to verify thefts at a municipality. You'd have to look at the data. Yes, you can feed things in it, but blah, blah, blah. Maybe it is financial modeling for infrastructure projects, or BEE transaction structuring, or IFRS for SMEs in the agricultural sector. I'm trying to give you areas where AI will usually struggle. You need to be on the ground to know these kind of things. So pick a lane and go deep. For example, if you're a CA, go deeper in your knowledge of your IFRS and stuff, and have practical knowledge of those areas. Because a client who has a specific complex problem does not want a generic AI to do that. They want a person who knows and who will be responsible for what they are giving as the advisory. They want a human expert who has solved that exact problem before. who knows where the bodies are buried in the legislation, and who they can trust to defend the position in the event of questioning. So, number 6, understand AI governance. That can be an actual other genuine career opportunity which can come with AI. And it is usually underappreciated, and I'm going to flag it specifically for you. So, as organizations deploy AI systems in the financial processes, someone needs to management and the ethics of those systems. Someone needs to be asking, is the AI credit scoring model introducing systematic bias or not? For example, is the automated financial forecast disclosing its assumptions transparently? To test that AI, is the AI-driven audit tool actually compliant with the international standards on auditing? Is the board properly informed about the degree to which AI is making or influencing financial decisions? This is a risk management and governance at work, and it sits exactly within the professional competence of a CA, of a CGMA, of a CCA, of a CPA, and one almost no one currently in practice properly or is properly equipped for. The professionals who move into this space in the next 3 years or so are going to be in extraordinary demand. The number 7, invest in your human skills without apology. Communication, relationship building, presenting to non-financial audience, negotiation, strategic advisory. These are not soft skills. They are the hardest skills to develop and the last ones that will ever be automated. If you can explain a complex financial position to a small business owner in plain language and make them feel informed and confident rather than confused and overwhelmed, then you are offering something that no AI can replicate. That skill is built through practice, through putting yourself in front of people regularly and doing the uncomfortable work of learning to communicate under pressure. These are important areas. So you can attend your Toastmasters. You can do professional associations, presentations. You can do LinkedIn writing about your field and things like that. Client-facing work, even pro bono when you are building your experience. If you want to gain an experience in a certain area, you can do pro bono. Any situation where you have to make financial ideas land with a real person, do those things. Those are the important things. In PwC 2025 report, it says AI skilled workers in business and finance earn a 56 wage premium over non-AI skilled peers. 56% difference in terms of earning. 56%. That is a serious shift there, a serious uplift. That is the difference between a junior salary and a mid-senior salary. The market is already pricing AI fluency. The question is whether you are building it or not. So you need to be able to move in the same direction. So, in this whole discussion, what exactly do I want you to walk away with? So, just in a moment, we are at the end. We're almost at the end, and I want you to leave. I want to leave you with something real. So, I also started my career in an accounting firm, and it was a medium, or rather smaller firm, but it was medium firm. External auditing. But in smaller firms, you do everything. You would do accounting, management accounting, financial statements preparations. Then you do external audit. You go and do the audit. You do lead the audits as well as you grow. You do tax. You have a portfolio for taxes, all tax steps from registrations to tax filings and everything. Long hours, difficult clients, exams that pushed me to my limits as well. Moments where I genuinely questioned whether it was worth it. And I qualified into it than the one I studied for. AI is now a new thing now. The tools have changed. The expectations changed. The pace changed. And that is normal in any industry. That has always been true of this profession in the accounting. The accountants who qualified in the 1990s entered the world being transformed by desktop computers and Google, things like that. The ones who qualified in the 2000s entered the world being transformed by cloud accounting and global reporting standards. You are entering a world being transformed by AI. Different tools, same scenarios. Same truth, different technology. And here's what has stayed the same through all of this. Business are complex. Money is complicated. People and organizations make decisions under uncertainty every day. And they need someone they trust. Technically, rigorously, ethically grounded, strategically intelligent person to help them navigate that complexity. That person has always been the qualified professional accountant since time. And no amount of AI changes the fundamental human need with the numbers that matter most to your life or your business. So the accountant who sat behind a spreadsheet let's say, doing mechanical work all day was always going to be displaced, not by AI, but by the next generation of tools. The AI has just moved the timeline forward for this. What it has not touched, and I do not believe it will touch, you never know, is the accountant who builds real expertise, genuine relationships, and the kind of professional character that makes people want to call you when they are in trouble. So that it has not changed. So please keep studying, keep pushing through the hard exams, keep building the technical foundations. That start building the second layer, the AI understanding, the AI fluence, the advisory skill, the domain expertise. What else did you talk about? The human capability. That will make you not just a qualified accountant or CA, but an exceptional one. So the qualification is worth it. That answers your question. The profession is worth it. And the version of you that works out after your qualification, after your articles, on the other side of this, is technically sound and strategically important, AI fluent, judgment equipped, trusted. That professional is going to be in demand for decades, and is going for decades. And you need to be able to be that person. The world needs more of them, not fewer. Actually, we are seeing a projection 5% growth. Like I said, my name is Dumisani Chirisa, a CASA, a CGMA, and this is CGMA Academy. And if you are one of those that are studying towards CIMA outcome and you want help, and you've been listening to this, then we are here also at CGMA Academy to help you in your journey to qualify. So if this video added something to your thinking, please share it with other candidates or another candidate who needs to hear it. And if you are preparing for your CIMA or ACCA or CA qualification, and you want a team that takes this seriously, then you can visit us at cgmaacademy.co.za or www.cgmaacademy.co.za, and we are guiding you all the way to professional membership. Keep going and get that designation. Thank you, and I hope that this was helpful. Dumisani Chirisa, and signing out. Bye.